ahead, Chairman.
We have 1 minute.
We're ready. I have 7. Go ahead. I have 7.
Okay, welcome, everyone. I would like to call to order the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission meeting for this evening, March 10th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Omar,
Present.
Baker,
Here.
Gonzalez,
Present.
Young,
Present.
Press.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Next, we will turn to citizens' time. Are there any citizens wishing to address the Planning Commission this evening? So now, do we have any emails that have come in?
No, sir.
Thank you. All right, we'll continue on then to the minute approval. Are there any edits to the lengthy minutes presented? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes for the public hearing and regular monthly meeting from January 20th, 2026?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the public hearing on January 20th, 2026.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving forward, our first agenda item this evening is consideration for rezoning number 2025-001 for 14600 Washington Street. Lydia, will you please lead us in this discussion?
I'm actually gonna kick it to Siobhan
Okay,
to lead us off.
no problem.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How you doing? Thanks.
I'll take one for you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me stick one. Is this what you-
However you want. It's up to you. 'Cause-
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first.
I'll leave that up there.
I apologize, Commission. I will figure it out actually. Apologies for that one. Okay, so this is a resubmission from the following meeting that was held, the following public hearing and planning commission hearing that was held on January 20th. Specifically about the QBE property at 14600 Washington Street. For just as a recap, the property is currently 8.8 acres of B1. And the rezoning is currently for 7.2 acres of residential property with the rest remaining as commercial. The document is a resubmission following some discussion with the developer Greystone and the public hearing where we heard multiple business owners and residents speak about the potential rezoning. So just going through what was mentioned last time, The biggest change for what is currently happening is that Greystone Development has decided to keep the Cookies and Cream Building, the Lewis home, where it currently stands. I would say this is one of the larger changes that is going on. Due to this, there will be a set of 4 townhomes facing Washington Street with a fencing around it for those townhomes. Additionally, there will be a pergola in front on the right-hand side grassy area where the Lewis home was originally proposed to go. Additionally, on the back units towards Alexandria's Keep, the townhomes, which were originally going to be facing inwards towards the commercial space, will now be facing outwards towards Alexandria's Keep. So that means the garages will face each other and the front entry door will face Alexandria's Keep on that side of the housing. The town would like to say that Greystone Development has done a large effort to meet a lot of the criteria that we asked for last meeting and has worked diligently to communicate with the town about its needs. One of the biggest things that we heard citizens talk about was pedestrian safety. As such, Greystone Development has included the potential, subject to VDOT approval, inclusion of a crosswalk on Washington Street from Green Hill Crossing. This will include a sidewalk improvement so that the sidewalk is extended to the actual crosswalk. The town is requesting that renderings and a list of all the safety mitigations for this crosswalk be included. It's understood that it's subject to VDOT approval, but we would like to see what that looks like. Additionally, the town is also asking, subject to VDOT approval, for some non-parking signs along Blight Drive on the property side, so on the eastern side of the exterior property. I'm sorry, western side of the exterior property. Along Blight Drive, there was concerns about traffic if guests or residents of the larger Haymarket area were parking along that side, how traffic would be affected. So we're asking for some no parking signs there, subject to VDOT approval. One thing I would like to quickly mention, kind of interrupt myself here, is that the narrative that was resubmitted, it does not have page numbers. If we can include page numbers on it next time. And then additionally, there was one mention of the Lewis home staying where it is. I'm not sure what page that is on, but it's right before the conclusion. Just make sure that's updated to reflect the rest of the narrative that the Lewis home is staying where it is. Previously, the town had asked for a number of surveys regarding archaeological and historic elements for the property. The schoolhouse that currently stands and the Lewis home are both considered historic to the town. In lieu of the environmental constraints map and the fact that the Lewis home is not being moved, we are waiving those, but we are asking for safety mitigations around pre-construction. We'll have a pre-construction meeting if the rezoning is passed. So we're asking for safety mitigations and how those 2 buildings will be deterred from any damage as construction begins. Additionally, the last time we spoke, the town asked for clear depictions of all setbacks and buffers. Those have been included. The one exception is the buffer along what will stand as the B1 and shared parking. The town does ask that we are going to waive a landscaping buffer, but ask for an additional fence line to be put in there just to help with additional noise to protect the citizens on Robinson Manor side. Additionally, we asked to see some renderings for architectural elevations and potential conceptual housing styles. There is a townhome rendering included in the packet. The town is asking for a rear rendering as well. It is mentioned that there will be an upper deck on the back end, so the town would like to have a visualization of that. In terms of water and sanitary and sewer and stormwater management, the town does recognize that an underground detention facility has been included and is in code with the town zoning ordinance. Additionally, we do ask for the sizing of the townhomes, that townhomes 2, 3, 26, and 27 be indicated on the ZMAP that they are 22-foot units, which are smaller than the other units. And we would like it noted in the narrative that these R2 developments are dependent on the ARB acceptance of the future demo permit application. The demo permit application is going to remove the rear end of the schoolhouse building. That'll be subject to the ARB, and if that were not to be approved, then obviously it would affect the townhome build out. So we would like that noted in the narrative. The demo permit will be submitted sometime in June or July following a potential acceptance by the Planning Commission. We're also asking for any architectural concepts for both the historic buildings. It is mentioned in the previous meeting that there will be a pedestrian breezeway for the schoolhouse commons. Any kind of work on the historic schoolhouse building will require some concepts so that we can understand what work is being done to the historic building. Any updates necessary to the Lewis home for the community center will also require conceptual discussion. As well, on the ZMAP, if you could indicate that there will be a pedestrian breezeway, that would be great as well. And any additional conceptual renderings for the brick hardscapes at the entry, which are indicated on the ZMAP, any interior signs, including the no outlet signs towards the rear of the development, and any exterior signs, including any marquee signs and the no parking signs, as well as the front facade fencing, which is intended to protect the 4 townhomes that are proposed on the front side. As we are also requesting that any development phasing plans be included in the narrative for discussion. That includes that the R2 build out is subject to the demo permit and any additional waivers, including the parking waiver for the front facade of the building. We have also reviewed the updated TIA and its inclusion of Coach Street and St. Paul Drive for consideration. The town would like to note that while VDOT does accept the grade at which the transportation has been given, that an acceptable grade within VDOT is considered a D, and therefore It is still important to us that transportation be considered long-term for this development build-out, not just in 2029. And lastly, in terms of the revised narrative addressing the town parks, Silver Lake Park and James Long Park, while the county uses level of service standards based on the county LOS standard stated goal for the quality, the project impact on these parks represents a requirement beyond existing capacity due to the nature of James S. Long and Silver Lake as county parks, and therefore not within the town's responsibility. Mitigations in response to the decrease in LOS letter grade have not been considered. In addition, the narrative provides a detailed description of the town park, which currently does not have established LOS standards. As a result, the narrative does not evaluate potential adverse effects to the town park. While the described conditions could suggest impacts associated with the subject project, the absence of adopted LOS standards or applicable evaluation grading criteria prevents the analysis from formally attributing responsibility. As a result, no definitive conclusion regarding project-related adverse effects have been made, although the possibility of negative outcomes cannot be entirely ruled out. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Siobhan to present the resubmission for the Schoolhouse Commons.
Thank you. Thanks, Lydia. I'm Kirk Johnson. This is Siobhan Dosky, my business partner, and we're Greystone Companies. Thanks for having us this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to present the revised plan to you. And as I mentioned last time, we've done some development in Blacksburg, Virginia. We own properties in a number of states, and we've been working on this property for about a year now on trying to come up with the best plan for the property. And we believe, this makes a lot of sense versus the by right development with all commercial. The residential addition to that this plan includes, really buffers the commercial from the existing neighbors and provides much needed housing. I just wanted to go over some of the changes that Lydia mentioned, just to kind of point them out. Siobhan's going to be my pointer. As she mentioned, we intended to add a walkthrough through the building to access parking right there. There's actually a space could be a walkthrough already in the building, but we're going to make it an actual pass-through, an open pass-through, so that the parking can be accessed from either side. Probably the biggest addition was the crosswalk on Washington Street. That will add much easier pedestrian access for the Green Hill Crossing folks, and also we believe will help slow down traffic at that intersection, so that it may be easier to pull in and out there.
I'm not sure if I'm using the right term, but I believe it was called a flashing. They'll have a flashing light that helps for somebody to cross.
And Lydia mentioned that we're leaving the Lewis home where it is, as opposed to trying to move it again. There were some concerns about moving it again because it was already moved to that spot, and just the structure may not handle another move. So we incorporated that in the residential portion of the development, and it'll function as the HOA, Homeowners Association, or community building with a green space in front of it. And that, as she mentioned, it pushed 4 of the townhomes up to Washington Street. So there'll be a presence on Washington Street, and we intend to make the brick on those, the front and sides, a darker brick to match the existing buildings in town, to make it look like Haymarket.
including these. So
Yeah.
the ones that face Washington would have that similar right.
And we're also going to be investing a lot into the school building, just cleaning it up, taking care of some deferred maintenance and making it more, better for the tenants with, a significant amount of money for the parking improvements around the building so that, the current parking's kind of all out in the field. And now with this plan, it'll be surrounding the building and closer proximity to the tenants. We're going to add curb and gutter to Blight Drive. And as Lydia pointed out, the signs for no parking, we'll put those on the plan as well. And extensive internal sidewalks. It's kind of hard to see on the screen here, but all the townhomes are fronted by a sidewalk. So there'll be extensive walking paths inside and around the perimeter of the whole site. And going back to Alexander's Keep. So providing them access so that there's
All around the building.
adequate pedestrian access all the way around. And the Washington Street improvements to make the current frontage doesn't have a sidewalk, to put a sidewalk there in accordance with the Washington Street plan and really landscape that, make it look nice. We're also adding a right turn lane from Washington Street into the main entrance and closing the existing exit from the property that used to create the school loop, was why it was there.
That's two-way.
And so the main entrance will be two-way, and that'll hopefully clear up a lot of confusion that exists today with it being one way. We're doing all this to really support the existing tenants. They've expressed a desire to be here, and we want to support them. We want to own the commercial long term, and we want to make the property as the best it can be for their success of their businesses. And so a lot of these improvements should help them. In addition, the addition of the residential next door should also help them with more customers, in walking distance. And we talked about the pedestrian path. Yeah.
Okay. You only need it. So now I know how Vanna White feels. It's like flipping them. Okay. So want to just kind of talk through and, I know that traffic is, is a concern. A lot of what we heard before has been about traffic. A lot of people that were here last meeting were talking about traffic. I know I've been in Haymarket, not the town of Haymarket, but down 15 towards Pebs for 27 years. Piedmont and Dominion Valley, none of that stuff was here when we moved here. So certainly understand a lot of the traffic concerns. I'm sure not as much as the people that live here in town, but I do come to town quite a bit and I do understand it. This information is contained in the traffic study, but it's 50, 60 pages long, and I'm not one for that kind of detail. So I thought it'd be nice to distill it down and just look at some of these things. And want to just kind of distill it for really Green Hill and Blight. The traffic study covers a lot more than that. The current numbers that are listed here are times from the actual counts from the study. They're not like estimated numbers, they're traffic counts. But they're average times for within the peak hours, the AM and PM peak hours. So it's the average form. The where it says T, that's today, and the F is future if Schoolhouse Commons is approved. We're not showing this to say there's no problem with traffic. So what we're really trying to show is that potentially, because after I looked through it, the feeling was, yes, I'm sure there's already a problem with traffic on Washington Street. And it will add to traffic. And it will add to traffic on Blight and Green Hill Crossing. There's no denying it. But it was nice to see what that change was in this format for me. So I thought I'd just share it. And if we look at it, Green Hill in the AM delay, it really adds less than about 3 seconds of delay on Green Hill in the morning. And in the PM, it's about 10 seconds that it adds. Now, I just pulled out onto 15 to come here. And I told you I live down towards Pebs. It's a gravel road. It's called New Road. And it's not new. It's very old and it's gravel. But that road, when you pull out, there's a roundabout down further. And they're extremely good. They're extremely efficient. And it was very hard to pull out. But even though I sat there and thought, man, this is taking a long time, I've often done, pulled up to a light or done something, pulled out a phone to do something, and before you know it, lights change. So what I did, I timed it. And even though it seemed forever, it was, it was literally like 30 seconds, but it felt like a long time. So here we've got Green Hill Crossing, it's adding less than 3 seconds, less than 10 seconds in the PM. Blight left turn, it'll add less than a second in the AM peak average time and less than 2 seconds in the PM. So in addition to that, the Green Hill Crossing crosswalk is expected that it will it will tend to slow traffic a little bit and provide potentially more opportunities for left turns out of Green Hill Crossing, possibly helping the traffic situation there. So some of this I'd mentioned before, I certainly understand that one of the big things that we heard when we first came into this is a lot of the residents would love to keep the grass, love to keep the fields. And the property owner is going to develop the property. It's a matter of really, is it a B1 development, commercial, or R2? At the end, that's what the owner of the property has to do, and we're not the owner. We're the contract. We hold the contract on it. Going from commercial to residential is a downzoning. That's a much lower intensity, much lower traffic impact. The property is currently zoned B1. It could be developed as B1 without this type of format. It would really just conforms to town code, and they can do it. We're submitting the rezoning today in an effort to find a win-win. We really feel like we are developers. We've developed other commercial properties. We've developed a residential and hotels and other things. And we really feel like this is a much better fit. On 3 sides of us, really 4, other than the existing building, on 4 sides of us, it's all residential. And it's a much better fit, as I had mentioned previously. When we were first contacted by the current owner, they were asking us about commercial. And when we looked at it, we said, you could put commercial here and it'd be easy, but, really a residential is a much better fit for this area. So that's why we started this process. We realized people aren't looking to increase traffic. And as I said, I'm included in those. As you can see from here, this is a medium density. We'd asked the group that did the traffic study to presume a medium density commercial development on the site. And you correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but this number here is our development, 500 trips a day, 505. And that is the commercial development. That's the total retail. That's the difference. So that's the total retail, which is effectively 8 times the number of trips on the property. So, we feel like this is a much better, much lower impact project, much lower impact on traffic. We believe it fits in much better with the neighborhood, and it will support the existing businesses that are already there a lot better. So here is the unveiling of
The concept. So these are just a townhouse concept, elevation. And, we want to make them as attractive as we can. And this wanted to present something so you have an idea of what we're talking about. As part of the process, we have to go through the Architectural Review Board. And I'm sure that will be, they'll refine the concept, or we will, with their comments.
That's brief.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was short, right? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I think Lydia also said, we worked really hard to try to incorporate the community and the town's comments in this revision. We know and experience traffic is already an issue. We really believe that the choice isn't between open fields and our proposed plan. And I know we keep saying it, but we just want to make sure that's heard, is that, this really is between, should it be a by right commercial development or this proposed residential development? And again, the by right commercial is 8 times the traffic. Just a medium density would be 8 times the traffic. This was not a multi-level, it was a single level proposed one. Residential fits in with the existing use and character of the surrounding properties and adds, much needed housing. We're preserving vital community assets. We're enhancing the Washington Street streetscape while enhancing vehicular and pedestrian safety. We're investing over $3 million to enhance the Washington Street streetscape, to add crosswalks to Green Hill Crossing, to change the property entrance, both entrances, and enhance the building itself. As Kirk mentioned, we want to make sure that the tenants there are able to have a lot of deferred maintenance taken care of, put the property in really good condition, and make sure that we're doing as the ones that own it, everything we can to help them be successful. And we're, building and then stormwater capture in the parking areas. We're going to remove all the stored trailers, equipment, and other junk that's negatively impacts the neighboring Robinson Manor. And the rezoning approval means a downzoning of the site with much less traffic and aligns with the neighboring properties. That's really it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Do you want us to stay up and answer questions, or?
Yeah, I invite the commission to ask any questions that they have, and Siobhan and Kirk, you can address them as so.
Whoever wants to start.
You got some?
I'll wait. Go for it.
Thank you guys for coming out. This is your 3rd time out here, and revised this the 2nd time. So thank you for putting this all together with the new improvements. Just one comment with the crosswalk. Could we do it on both sides of Green Hill Crossing? But I know maybe that's already submitted to VDOT. So I don't know if we could do that on both sides.
We're getting, our traffic expert is here.
Hello, expert.
Hi, I just want to, VDOT has standards for how close crosswalks can be. Typically, they wouldn't allow them within 300 feet. We could always request it, but I don't think that they would allow it, especially if we're going to try and get the flashing beacon. They wouldn't allow that on both sides of the street because they want to keep it kind of contained to one side.
Kayla, is that
Also because it's not a signalized intersection.
Exactly. If it was at a signal, definitely it could be at both sides, but because it's unsignalized, they want to kind of put pedestrians at one point, so it creates less conflicts.
And ma'am, since you're up there, I was going to ask you a question anyway. So,
Pick it off.
so based off what I read in here, the numbers and the study was done for the outgoing and ingoing on one day, right?
Correct, which is typical. So we, not just for the town, but for VDOT, they require us to count on a typical day when school is in session. And that's just kind of the standard process for
Okay.
VDOT.
But that's one data point. That's a single data point, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So based off I'm a math guy, based off the numbers, you've got 355 to 370 cars coming in each direction at peak hours.
Mhm.
Divide that by 60, that's 6 to 7 cars per minute coming from each direction if you averaged it out.
On Washington Street.
Right. So let's say it's going to take more than this, 3 seconds for you to see a car get in front of you and get by you, 3 seconds, right? That leaves you still time to pull out, but assuming both sides of traffic are going at the same amount of time and they match each other, which is hardly ever the case.
Mhm.
So I've got a suspicion, I mean, I haven't gone out and measured this myself, but if you average that out over multiple days, I think it's going to take a little bit longer to do that, to try to get out onto the road.
I think the numbers that Siobhan showed is an average. So some people, it certainly takes longer. Some people, you come up, you get out immediately. You happen to come up where there's a gap. So that's an average number. But yeah, the through trips on Washington are high. That's not because of this project, but that is, just the existing condition.
And we expect that number to increase over time, right?
Which we did include in our study. So
Yeah,
we
I think
included a
2%
2%
increase?
annual. So I think it totals a
Have
little
we-
over 8%.
I've only lived here for the last 3.5 years, but would you say, I know my answer, would you say it's increased by 2%, the growth here in this town?
I can look back at the historic data. That's pretty typical, just in the Prince William Haymarket region. I would say on average, I've seen 1 to 1.5%, but we typically assume 2 to be conservative, but I don't have the historic numbers right in front of me.
Like I said, I don't have the evidence to back it up, but I would think it's probably going to be a little bit longer than that, and have a little bit more impact to it. But with that, I have a couple of things I had written down as I was going through the numbers and stuff through the weekend and stuff. Just like most intersections we've encountered here, especially this one at the corner here, it's the left-hand turn that holds everybody trying to go to the right behind you, right? So what if you made, in the commons there, if you allow the main entrance to the commons itself to be left or right, anybody turning right is going to further uphold somebody on Blight trying to turn left. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
So are you saying make it 3 lanes?
No.
Okay.
But I'm saying, with the understanding, you've got it making it 2-way where they can turn left or right coming out of the commons, right? The main entrance there. If they turn right, then they're going to impede somebody over here on their right. That's one more car coming. Then now they got to wait for them to come before they can turn left. So one thing I thought about, what if you made that exit left turn only? Instead of making it where they can turn left or right.
The
coming
one
out-
on Washington Street?
Right, coming out from the commons onto Washington Street, leaving the commons, make it a left turn only. Number one, you wouldn't impact Blight as much. And number two, when they go left, the other person on Blight could be going left at the same time, potentially if there's timing there, and it frees up people behind them to the right.
The only, just top of my head, kind of concern I would see with that is it's hard to physically restrict right turns. It's easier to physically restrict lefts, but I think similar to what we've seen with the one-way loop, people tend to do what they want, and this one-way loop, people aren't really using it as a one-way loop. I think we saw a lot of observations of people going the wrong way. So I think one of our goals and one of the things VDOT was really focused on this frontage was improving driver expectation and that safety. And that just, to me, seems like it could cause an issue with that.
The other thought I'd had with that is I pulled the string more on turning left only. Right now, you've got 20 people. You've got way more people trying to get right based off your numbers at
Mhm.
peak hours, especially in the morning.
Yep.
Trying to go right than go left. if you made it so that 10 more people could actually drive through, make it only during certain hours, maybe a drive through so that they can come off Blight to go through and turn left. And you would reduce the number of lefts off Blight to leave it for more just right turn only.
So I know you're following it, but I'm not. So I want to just ask, are you saying from the Schoolhouse Commons,
Yeah.
leaving Schoolhouse Commons?
So bring,
Yeah.
okay, if I step up there?
So are you talking about?
Let me see your stick.
Yeah, it's like you want the pointer?
You want the pointer? Hey. Industrial lot.
Walt, use the mic and get there.
Sorry.
Hold the
There you
mic.
go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Kim.
Let me get
that-
reoriented. Yeah.
Jot down.
So right now, you've got people on Blight trying to get out, and some are trying to go left, some are trying to go right. And the guys going left are having to wait for both sides of traffic to coordinate time coming here. If you have people coming here and they can also exit left and right, anybody that turns right is now adding to the wait for people trying to turn left. If you made this a left turn only, then at the time they could turn left, there should be an opening. The good chance there's an opening for the people here to turn left at the same time. So you got two people trying to go left at the same time, and it would free up some of the time for people trying to go right. There are certain peak hours. You could also make it so that this is based off the numbers I saw. You only had, I want to say like, I have to go back and look at the numbers, but maybe 10, 15 people trying to turn left during that peak hours. Make this a three-way. So anybody going down Blight that wants to turn left, let them come through here to turn left and leave this only open for people going right. Let them turn right, and it would reduce the amount of time. And you're only talking about 10 people. This is just food for thought.
No, I'm following what you're saying. I hadn't thought about that, so I don't know that I have an answer.
Well, let's look at it.
Yeah,
Let
we
us
can
look
look
at
at
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
they're just gonna use the circle and come right back the other way. Yeah, I'd say, what about people who want to turn right out of the business area?
If you come up to Blight and turn right, because everybody else is gonna be turning right and not waiting for people to
Okay,
come left.
so you're expecting them to go,
Right.
so you add to the traffic in Blight, so you've got, instead of 10 extra, you've got 20 extra people coming out from Blight.
But they're all going right. They're not waiting to get across traffic to go left.
Well, you make them, yeah, I mean,
Just
I see they might work,
Right.
but
thought.
Yeah, one of the benefits of having the two is you kind of distribute the traffic, but I hear your point. We can maybe look and see if there's something we can do there.
From a perspective of traffic counts, if you were to go along those lines, which could work, you would want the traffic in Schoolhouse Commons going out onto Blight instead of feeding all of those extra homes, because those streets go pretty far to the west. You'd be feeding all that
Alright.
traffic into Schoolhouse
I agree.
Commons.
Yeah.
And that's not built to
Alright.
sustain that.
Again, I appreciate these comments, but I mean, we've had a public hearing previously on this one as well. And this is, again, we're just trying to get questions and different ideas. We do appreciate this information, but we're just trying to get this information and see if we can push forward and come to a piece of it. This doesn't have to be going back and forth. So I apologize, but yes, I think these are valid things to consider, of course. And we appreciate if you could take a look at it just to see it.
Yeah, we will.
And because, I mean, even for myself, I had some questions, because I know there was discussion before about adding a left or right turn lane at Blight Drive, maybe adding a left or right turn lane out at the main entrance as well. Just these kind of, I know they were discussed before, but I didn't know if that was possibly considered. I know the updates to the traffic study looked at various alternative routes. And I have another question on that one too, on that front, but I was just wondering where that stood about the lane configuration changes, if that was possible, or how that was looked at.
I think one of the issues with just width of the road, but I'll leave it to you. But I believe that was one of the constraints. The cost of widening it was beyond, this is a 58 unit project. So by the time we added the crosswalk, the light for the crosswalk and the other things, it really just got to the point where it's just not as feasible.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And I don't know, Walt, did you have any other questions or?
No, that was it. It's just food for thought.
Sure. Commissioner Mayor, do you have?
Yes, I have a question. Do you have a study regarding adding traffic light to Green Hill Crossing?
No, we've done the study. We've done lights at other places, and this project would never support lights. We've been asked about roundabouts there, lights there, and this would have to be probably 140 units before we'd have a light on on that road for this project.
Yeah, I was just gonna add the volumes from a VDOT perspective, because this is a VDOT road, don't support a signal. VDOT did review our traffic impact study. They're happy with the operations unsignalized, and VDOT as a whole, collective, especially in the past years, they're really trying to reduce the number of signals that are added unnecessarily. So there's a lot of hoops you would have to go through, and just in my professional opinion, the volumes wouldn't warrant a signal at this location.
Okay, that means you asked already VDOT to adding the signal and they,
We didn't ask them because we showed them the unsignalized conditions and it meets their standard. They were satisfied with it. So that's what was included in the study.
my understanding is normally like the VDOT request for 3 or 2 study for the traffic. Like, did you ask for 2 or 3 study to submit or like analyze the traffic?
Yes, we did a traffic impact study, which VDOT reviewed, and they have no outstanding comments.
I'm sorry, I want to make sure, is that what you were asking, was if we did the study?
Yes.
Yes. And it should be in the packet.
I just have a question with the enhancements that your guys are doing with the school building. How many businesses or business are you gonna add or get into that space?
I don't think we would be adding it. Well, we would be potentially moving some people. So there's two groups in the part that will, well, one is in the cookies and cream building.
Yep.
And one is in here, the Italia Dance. Those are the two people that we would be relocating. We're working to relocate into the existing building.
Okay.
And part of it's working with QBE because they occupy a lot of the space in the building. And there is a area inside that already has a kitchen, very large area for kitchen. So we're working with them and making sure we can get enough light and other things to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, our goal is to have it be a very viable and vibrant
Yeah, I think
property.
adding the crosswalks and then the turn lane, I think that's gonna help out. And one other question, is there any way that you could put a street light? Because when it gets dark during these times, and people, I know there's gonna be a flashing for people to cross, but at the crosswalk at Green Hill Crossing, could there be lights put there? I don't know if that's a traffic question or a
You're saying it's
Siobhan
possible.
question.
It's possible, you're saying.
Possible? Okay. I'm just thinking late summer, kids are
Yeah,
out,
understand.
so a light goes up so people can safely cross. I don't know.
Yeah, I will add to this,
That goes to
they
Lydia.
did submit that there will be lights in accordance with what the town requires there.
Okay.
I believe did you include them indicated on the plan? There's 4. There's a
Okay.
depiction of what the street light will actually look like, but it looks as though there like roughly 4 will be included along Washington Street,
Okay.
where they're inputting the sidewalk and the bike lane.
It'll be.
Gotcha.
Will that match the Washington streetscape as we have in other parts of the town?
Yes,
That
that's
those kind of
correct.
lighting, that kind of idea? Okay.
And so if you're most familiar with the new park sidewalk portion that we did in front of our park and the street lights there, it'll be in the same format of that.
Perfect.
I'll
Hopefully
just
that
add-
satisfies 4 requests.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
maybe
Uh,
5. No. Thank you.
I'll add to
Thank you,
that,
thank
that the benches along the streetscape and the brick on the sidewalk itself also match the town streetscape. So they have met requirements on that. And then I'll also add that there will be about 22,000, just over 22,000 square feet of commercial space still with this building. So Siobhan, for those who have not been in that building before, could you speak to how many spaces of businesses you believe could fit in there? Do you have a number?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
It's if we're able to relocate the 2, we'll have the same number that we have today. So we're not losing any or gaining any.
Yeah.
I'll
Because
do it in my head real quick.
there's one vacant space that we will utilize for one of the 2 tenants, and then we're hoping to get some of the QBE space back to put the other one in.
It was just more of a guesstimate, just to
I think
see
it's
where.
6 or
where-
7.
I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
6.
No, I think
6
it's
or
great
7.
for the people that are already in there
Yeah.
that are gonna get customer, like you said earlier, they're gonna get customers that are in there that have kids or wanna go eat somewhere or learn to how to dance. It's,
Or
I think it's gonna put-
jujitsu.
I don't know about that. No, yeah. He'll put me in an arm bar. But, no, yeah, I think, I just wanted to kind of know
Yeah.
a number.
And it's like a defragging a hard drive. You have many pieces. Hopefully you get it together. And if it's an improved building, that's how I envision as you've been presenting this information, something like that.
Yeah.
That could be.
I like the analogy, by the way.
Yeah, it's a little bit older one, but it's a good one on that front. I just wanted to speak about with the crosswalk again, understanding something like a flashing beacon, rapid rectangular flashing beacon, something like that. Because again, that can kind of function like a traffic signal without being a traffic signal. Because again, when I first heard about slowing down traffic, I was a little concerned because I wouldn't want pedestrians trying to slow down the traffic. But by activating the button, that's the key piece of safety there. And I think going along with that, and you even see it in the kind of illustrative you have here, that kind of brick or stamped brick kind of concrete sidewalk. I know that to again go along with these other improvements, that could be done. That would be something to be we'd be interested in. I think
Are you talking about on Washington?
on Washington if possible.
Well, it is on Washington, correct? The stamped concrete.
Well, no, he's talking about the crosswalk, aren't you?
Well, both across. Well, I mean, both of them that'd be great. But understanding that, I think just the idea of along Washington Street,
Oh,
if
yeah.
that could be
Yes,
done,
it is.
that would
It
be
is.
okay. Okay, that's what the plan was. Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah,
be
that's-
sure.
Part of the proffer is the whole streetscape. You can see that's a red sidewalk there. So
Right.
That's the stamped.
But is the crosswalk itself, is that possible for it to be stamped across Washington?
They're asking about the crosswalk and basically if it will also be the stamp. If the stamp.
Like the Washington streetscapes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The crosswalk will be VDOT maintained, so I don't know if they would let us, but we can include it as a request in our crosswalk study. But I know to the north, the nearest crosswalk is traditional striping, and I'm assuming that's because of a VDOT request.
Town engineer.
So we put a crosswalk in at the new Park Streetscape improvement so that we would expect that the crosswalk here would match that. And that one is not brick. That one is a standard crosswalk that VDOT will maintain.
Okay. Well, if we give it on in any way, I mean, even if not Washington Street, even perhaps the other crosswalk, just again, kind of keep that same idea. And I'm aware with, of course, the park, and when we looked at that, set in accordance with VDOT, so they said, well, we'll just do it as a, high reflective instead of, a brick thing that we have and got replaced in the main intersection here in town. So that was just an aside there. And I also understood, of course, in the narrative about the access management waiver, of course, for intersection spacing and the crosswalk approval per VDOT guidance, that makes sense there. The one question I had actually on the update about the TIA was, I know that it was demonstrated the roundabout was an alternative, the roundabout in the county that one could go around when exiting. And I know it was looked at for the build that year, but did you look at that like 20 years in the future? For as you know, when roundabouts go, they go pretty poorly. So I was curious if that was looked at.
We didn't. We could probably run that analysis fairly quickly. The reason we looked at it is we actually observed some people doing it when we were doing observation. I think people waited, and if there was a couple of people there, if they're over 10, 15 seconds, they just hooked a right, and then we saw them come back after they went around the roundabout. So we knew some people were already doing it, so we wanted to see what kind of capacity that was there. It worked pretty well, but we can look at it just as a quick gut check to make sure that it's not going to degrade in the next year or two afterwards.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Before it continues, is there anyone else, any other? Because I have a couple other things here. Okay, I guess jumping more in with the layout, and again, I should preface that I do appreciate these changes that were made. I mean, this is certainly a lot of improvements in the right direction. With the bike lane and other things we've talked about, and the sidewalks going around the buildings instead of in front of the driveways, that is appreciated for within the unit. The only thing I was still concerned about was towards the back part of the unit, or plan right here, where the residential street. I noticed those go a little bit longer than like the typical fire truck kind of turnaround pieces. So did you have a plan of thought for the fire truck access back there? I know there's going to be signage that will say it's a no outlet.
Yeah.
But how are you planning to like accommodate for emergency access to that alleyway without a turnaround at the end? I was curious if some thoughts on that.
We reached out to Lyndon Lowe.
Okay.
We reached out to Lyndon Lowe at the fire marshal's office, and what we were told was as long as the fronts of the units were constructed with a non-combustible material, that they would waive the, the dead end length requirement.
This part, where the truck would be.
Right. Okay. So it can be reached, I guess, around the other sides, and since non-combustible as
Correct.
well. So adding both building material and I suppose if you needed, you have even Alexander's Keep. There are places to park the truck and meet that, I would think.
Right.
But if you talk with the fire marshal, then that's
Yeah,
appreciated.
Yeah, and we
That
have that
was-
in writing, and the layout that was presented to them was, the street configuration was basically what you see, so.
And I know typically when we've done like, apartments or hotels and they become really long, generally the criteria is like a 300-foot distance. The hoses, I think, go 150 feet each, they can go either way. So I believe that's part of what they're thinking is they could go down there if they needed to, but they would go here or potentially there if there was a fire there,
Can we add that discussion into the narrative? And John, if you have a record of that, could you provide that to the town, please? Thank you.
One thing we did forget to mention is that we did modify it. We did modify it so that the bike lane shows that it goes all the way through on that side.
That's right. And I think the next thing I wanted to I guess, ask about is related. I know there's the waiver for the buffer, and I understand, again, between the Prince William County residential property and the commercial section of it. I mean, today, I was there recently. I mean, there may be a couple of scraggly trees and not much grass, but I had thought the pavement went all the way to the fence there. But in that waiver for the buffer, or buffer kind of waiving and reduction, are you planning to do anything to sort of offset that, like add as many plantings as you can in that space? I know the thin space, you really can't do much at all, but were you planning something else in that regard, like increased plantings or anything like that, or more just the fencing piece of it? What were your thoughts?
The thought is yes, we can provide what would be suitable for that limited space that would help soften the fence line and provide at least a low-level landscaping feature along the fence. But where we have room, we can try to identify species of trees, that maybe understory trees that would also be compatible in that location. But as you pointed out, it's a limited width strip that you have there.
Certainly. And going along with that too, I may have one more too, I know around the kind of outside on the plan right, plan north there, I know there's a little bit of grades ideas there too. And I know you'll probably have some buffering, with the Alexander's Keep, I think there was some discussion. And that's also where you're planning to have is roughly, that's kind of where for the stormwater, best management practices type facilities would generally be in that area. Is that the thought at this stage?
Right. Well, we, that linear strip area between the townhouses and Alexander Keep, not all of it, but a good part of that area will be taken up with the underground stormwater.
Right, that's what I meant. Thank you. Yes.
But there will be an opportunity again to provide some plantings along there. Some of them would probably be ideal, that you would find around a stormwater facility that would help slow the water surface flow and take up some of that. But as we all know, Alexander Keep did plant a strip along their property line. It's identified on their site plan.
And it's pretty well, from what I recall, it's pretty well grown in, and fairly tall and it already has pretty good cover from what I can tell.
So we did do preliminary sizing for the stormwater facilities just to know that they would work. But as we refine that, we may be able to decrease the footprint of the underground trench through there. But I will also add that we added the sidewalk as we flip the fronts, the units, the sidewalk now takes up 5 feet of that area as well. So, but again, to answer your question, I think there is an opportunity for additional plantings.
Right, that's great. And certainly I understand. I mean, with sidewalk and with drainage, things like that, you want to have the walkability, connectivity, but then how do you account for screening? How do you account for buffering? I understand all those components of it.
And as the exhibit shows, the finished product there will be grass on top. In other words, you will not know that underground stormwater chamber system is there. In other words, we can finish that off with a sod or grass top. So it will be an area that can be walked on, played on, used. The water will be picked up by inlets, like yard inlets or curb inlets, and then that water will discharge underground into the system.
Certainly.
If that helps.
Well, no, that is appreciated. I mean, and I'm thinking more of a buffering screening, but certainly the other component with the stormwater aspect of it would need to be considered as well. So that's appreciated. And I think you may have segued, unless my fellow commissioners, anything was just I think speaking towards the amenities. And I understand on the Plan West part of it is kind of the pergola kind of matching the other side. I understand that piece of it. The one thing I was curious about with amenities too is maybe, I don't know, for like a space for a small playground or some kind of children's kind of play area or something like that. And I know you've kind of have that great facades for Washington Street there, but that's the one thing. If there was a space to fit some kind of, like I've said before, playground or a children's play space like that.
Yeah, the expectation is we'll have it in here, but we just haven't built out or designed a playground yet. But that's why this area is kept the way it is to be able to have a playground there.
Sure, and I would think probably those two top ones, perhaps. I know because you have fencing there along Washington Street. Perhaps that's an idea as well. One of those two, just to add that extra amenity would be appreciated. Consistent with perhaps the other developments around here.
And we're also looking at some things here, but not necessarily a playground, but other types of amenities that we can put here.
Sure. That'd be good to, again, just to present the best product that you can at the next time with this resubmission, and we can make sure we're all looking at the same thing. So when we evaluate, we can say, all right, this is the best that it can be, and then we can make our decisions from there. I think the last thing I had, as I glance over here to make sure, I think you've addressed most of my questions here with these different presentations. Just related to the elevations, and I understand there's going to be more depictions of that. Just a brief comment, and I won't try and take from the Architecture Review Board. I mean, that they'll take it further. But I did, of course, appreciate the brick part of it. That's important, with that part. I know the rest of the details perhaps could be ironed out a little further. But I did appreciate the brick at least, and just whatever you can do to kind of keep that idea going. Because I know brick is hard to come by. I know there's a cost with it, but it is appreciated on that front. And again, I look forward to seeing, as we all will, the future renderings that may come forward, just to again get the best glance of what we can see and make a full, clear evaluation. And I suppose the last thing I should mention is, as before, just to make sure once more all the numbers and references, zoning ordinance references are all correct and accurate as well. Just if you just one more fine tooth comb. I know it's a lot of information, detailed information, but just to make sure it's clear and consistent across all the documents, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
So, commissioners have anything? Sure.
I have a question regarding the parking space. Given all the commercial activity will stay, I believe recently or now we have more than 60 vehicle came after 6 p.m. daily to those commercial business. Based on your drawing, seem like you have approximately 75 parking lot for those commercials. The same time, can you clarify where
I don't have the numbers, but all of this, I mean, except for 15 spaces that are designated for residential, all the parking in here is for commercial. We expect that it will be, shared throughout, but one of the things is by having this pass through. Right now, today, I just drove there earlier before we came here. And, you know, parking here isn't very convenient. I'm sorry, parking here isn't very convenient because you have to walk around the building, and the building's even longer. So one of the reasons for this pass-through is to make all this parking very viable, and none of this parking exists here. So, you know, from our count, and I don't recall this offhand, but we've got more parking within, I think, something like 150 feet of every door for every commercial tenant than they currently have today.
So we have 132 spaces for the commercial, and what's the total residential?
100,
143.
Total residential is 131. Oh, I'm sorry, 275.
Yeah, 275 spaces for residential and 130.
for the, how much?
That doesn't sound right.
So the applicant is
That's
providing
combined,
a total
yeah.
of 275 spaces on the site. They're only required to provide 261, and the breakdown, because of the way that they're doing the rezoning to get 58 units, there will be 199 of the spaces will be on the residential zoned parcel, which will be a portion of the parking behind the building. And then 76 of those spaces will be on the actual B1 zoned parcel. But the total spaces being provided is 275.
And to add to that, that doesn't include the 116 garages in the homes, correct?
It does.
Yeah, so those are actually,
No, Siobhan, it
no,
doesn't.
Yes.
no, oh, sorry.
That includes
Reverse?
the garage spaces
Okay.
for
It
the
includes the
townhomes.
garages, but not the
I
driveways.
was about to say, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Right. And I know sometimes you can always, there's always more spaces available than you realize you
Yeah.
count, but still that you want to make sure you get a
Absolutely.
reasonable number.
And, you know, as we said, we plan to own the commercial. One of the key things for commercial is parking. You know, if they don't have parking, I'm sure you hear it all the time when people are wanting space, you know, trying to have a business downtown. One of the key elements is, you know, people have to have commercial or you don't get tenants. So we're very aware of it. We're trying to, that's why we designed a lot of this around the commercial and make sure that we give them lots of spaces and close spaces.
I'm also going to add to this, Siobhan, if you could indicate on the Z map there, which townhomes have the additional parking space.
This is a pop quiz, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think I know.
So wait,
So-
first, before we added, since the last submission, we added to most of the in-unit townhomes, we added a third parking space. So that,
This will be
So-
for the visitor or?
Just for
No.
them, yeah. For
So
the-
the townhome owners, if they buy one of the end lots, their driveway will accommodate two vehicles.
Okay.
So that could potentially mitigate the need for the worry of visitors parking along Blight Drive or parking along Alexandria's Keep, there are spaces that have additional parking.
So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
So I can't remember the exact number, but it was like out of the 9 sticks, which the 2 end units would have an extra space. So that would be 18 spaces, but I believe at least one stick we couldn't do.
we couldn't do.
We couldn't do one of them.
these-
So it ended up
those
being,
and those.
yeah, so those 2 didn't get it.
So 12,
So
And
12.
12, there you go. So 12 of them, got it. So 12 extra spaces.
could I ask the request for the ZMAC? Are there going to be inside the residential and commercial stop signs, speed bumps, stuff like that? Because I don't see it on here. Is there going to be?
Yeah, the additional signage internal.
Yeah.
Sure, if you want that, see that on the Z map, we could show that. That would be the stop signs, generally directional arrows. Yeah.
There are additionally, they verbally indicated that there will be 2 no outlet signs where you enter into where there is no outlet. So that will be indicated next time as well.
And then obviously, fire marshal's office, others will probably weigh in during the site plan stage.
Yes.
Additional design. Requirements.
Thank you.
It means on here, right? Not there.
Did you want it depicted graphically on the Z map?
I mean, because it would be on there, on this plan, we could put it, but generally, this was just like, you know, so you can get a visual of what it looks like. If we started adding a lot of the little details, it might become a mess on this.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
that's more for.
I would say an indication in the narrative that there will be posted
Great.
signage
Okay.
would be sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any, we also have anything more? Everything? Okay, feel pretty good with with what's next for the submission?
Yes, I feel very
March
good. I feel very
Okay.
good with this one. I think we should vote on it tonight, but I hear that we can't. So we will wait another month and hopefully hear back.
That was a valiant effort.
It was.
Yes, yes.
I'm always willing to give it a shot.
Almost had us.
I don't think I did.
No.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you again. I mean, like I said, these
Thank you.
improvements, it's, you know, it's in the right direction. So like I said, once that time comes, we'll have the full kind of gamut of what we need to consider and ponder and make the best decision we can. But yes, at that point, I think, you know, we'll take one more swing at this, you know, next month. That's our time. And before we go with our recommendations on to council. But again, thank you for coming out and
Thank you.
thank you for these updates and talking with us here to kind of work through some of these pieces and getting
Thank
it
you.
to a good finished product.
We appreciate everybody's time.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to point out that everybody here is they're all tenants from the property. So if y'all didn't know that. Thank you.
Right. And we appreciate, of course, what's coming. Yes. So the next item on the agenda, I believe, is discussing the capital improvement plan. And I believe, Emily, you're up on this one here. Or-
Yes, thank you. I'm going to give just a brief minute while maybe we take a 5-minute recess and then come back. Does that work?
Yes, let's
Okay,
take 5
thank you,
minutes.
Chair.
Thank you. Our recess, and yes, the next item is the discussion of particularly the town's FY27 capital improvement plan.
So
yes,
we're
Emily.
on the very last page of the very long agenda, page 304. So the town, each year during our budget talks and discussions at the town council level, as we prepare for the next fiscal year, we look at our capital improvements plan and we come to the planning commission and have a general discussion of what the town council is proposing, what we're working on, and we assure that it aligns with what the planning commission would envision as it goes forward, having to do with the comprehensive plan. I will say a small caveat to this is our comprehensive plan is outdated. We do have plans to work on that and get it updated. Now that we are back fully staffed again, we will be making moves on that in the very near future. So what you see before you is what we currently have proposed in our draft CIP for this coming budget discussion. We will be discussing it in great detail with the town council at the March work session. That's on the 30th of this month. The way we've generally laid it out in many years past and what we're still doing today is we have our first category as Washington Street beautification. So this is our streetscape infrastructure. We do a lot for money in several of these categories. We alter which years we're working on which projects. I will say in the past, we have not yet been able to complete some of these projects and the appropriate, I don't want to say, I guess, infrastructure replacement. So we often are looking at maintaining our streetlights, but on occasion there's a requirement to replace the streetlight due to failing infrastructure. So you'll see that in that line item that's been bumped out to 2029, 2030. Those are not things that we currently project needing to do full replacements of any infrastructure. I will say that 50,000, how it goes right now, would only afford us 4 streetlights. So we definitely try to maintain and upkeep them the best that we can. They are quite pricey to invest in. street trees, planters, and other street beautification projects. So this is going to be your crepe myrtles along Washington Street. As we add flower baskets to our street lights, that's from this area here. Town sidewalk repairs. So the town does maintain all of our brick sidewalks. We have transitioned to stamped concrete in the red brick color, still in the herringbone pattern with the soldier course. That is our standard. That is what is required on Washington Street as part of the streetscape. We are looking to, over time, make repairs block by block to work on the sidewalks that need the most repair work currently and transition those over to a stamped concrete. So you will see that is allotted in each year. Crosswalk improvements. So we did do some work on crosswalk improvements this past year. We had the addition of a crosswalk installed there at the park. That was in conjunction with our park sidewalk project, and that is now fully operational. We do not have any signage or marking repairs that are flagged for years to come. It's just at this time, it's not a need that we're projecting. That is something that we have been fortunate to work with VDOT, and they help us on all of the appropriate signage, making sure that it is current and in good condition. We do, however, project that in 2029, 2030, we'll be looking at crosswalk repair, probably replacement in that situation. We do have several crosswalks right here at our intersection that have remained the stamped, I guess it's stamped asphalt, and it is the red coloring. So that will need some repair work, if not full replacement. And so we have budgeted for that. When VDOT comes through and paves, they put back in the high res sidewalks unless otherwise noted. And so it is still our maintenance to do all of the stamped sidewalks and crosswalks. Are there any questions on streetscape or beautification?
So currently, right now, you have the sidewalk down the side of the hotel here, and then you have the alleyway to cross over. The rest of it has a sidewalk there, but that first where the home used to be that they demolished, it's up against the road. I mean, there's a small shoulder there, but I see people trying to walk down it sometimes and cars coming by and stuff. I was wondering if there's any future plans to continue the sidewalk and move that to match up the rest of the street.
So we have no future plans at this moment. What I would say that we can put in here and take up to the council level is under the next section, street sidewalks and parking. Haymarket Park sidewalk to Blight Drive, that has been completed. What we can do instead is we can put the 3 areas that are known to us that don't have sidewalks as areas to start looking towards funding sidewalk projects there. So that would be the north side of Fayette Street, right after you kind of turn right onto Fayette Street and you go back to Sherwood Forest. There is no sidewalk until you get back to the neighborhood. The area that you just mentioned, improving that sidewalk and making it a safer connection for the brick sidewalk and then down to the next portion of actual sidewalk that's set off of the road. And then the third area that I would suggest to include is on Fayette Street, south of Washington Street. There's a historic home, and right in that area, there's no sidewalk and there's limited connectivity for pedestrian access on that side of the road. So we could flag these 3 and put them in there and then take that up to the town council. Are there any other area, like sidewalk areas that you guys would recommend including?
Not sidewalks, more. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
More of the street light and repairs. I think I've talked to you about this before. It's so expensive replacing everything on those or keeping those in maintenance. Do we have any alternatives?
There is always an alternative.
I know there is.
The alternatives are not necessarily in keeping with the town's historic look and feel and the historic overlay district that was set up back in the 90s. So They took great stride in creating the historic district, setting it up, recognizing the town's historic elements. And then part of that was designing the streetscape to include these more ornate poles that gave a different feel, different look and feel. I will say the green color is very hard to upkeep. You'll see that it fades over time. And I think you go from a nice, what they call Hanover green, to more of a sea foamy green as it fades with 20, 30 years. So there could be easy adjustments to the standard that the council and ARB and commission discussed, that it could go to black poles. Maybe that would be a different solution when it comes to the long-term paint maintenance. There are other poles that you could put up that are definitely cheaper than $10,000 to $12,000 a piece. I will say the $10,000 to $12,000 replacement, that is the full system. So that is the entire light pole, the bulb, the globe, all of the banner arms, and the flag on it as well. So we fortunately, knock on wood, have not had a vehicle hit one recently. Most of the time when we do have a casualty of that nature, thankfully insurance comes into play and it's not quite as expensive. So we're not having to replace the whole pole as often as you would think. I do actually have our contractor on site. They were here today. They will be back tomorrow doing streetlight work. After they finish, I'll have a better idea of cost associated with those replacements, what they're actually having to replace, what is giving them issue. They are retrofitting a lot of our lights as well. So right now, that's a bigger cost to put into it to retrofit it. But we are getting them to a better standard that should last longer and need a little bit less maintenance using the LED bulbs and moving to that. So I'll have a better report back. Also, kind of what partners with this capital improvement plan is that the town is finally working on getting a asset inventory program into place, thanks to Mr. Lorson. I hope he's listening. So we're getting that into place. We are adding that it will be a great benefit. They are going to come out, the team is going to come out and do a full inventory of all of our buildings, our infrastructure. They're going to be tagging everything. They're going to be doing reports on our HVAC systems. They're going to be giving us a good insight to what we have, how it's functioning, and then what a replacement life cycle looks like. The really cool thing about the program that we picked out is it also has a capital improvements planner section in it. And so what it's going to do is not just these nice infrastructure projects that are out on the street, but our buildings. It's going to look at that and it's going to say, in FY28, you need to plan for this cost replacement because of these failing systems. I think in the very beginning, council's going to be pretty shocked at what we have and what is going to be needing replacement. And then we're going to have the hard conversations about what's deferred and what's immediate. So we'll have more insight on a lot of our infrastructure once this gets up and running in the next couple months. So that was a long-winded answer. Yes, there are more
What were we talking
solutions
about?
to the lights.
Yes.
The other solution is also what some of our neighborhoods do, which is they actually use Dominion lights. I don't think we want to get there.
Like I'm just
That's
thinking
not the
something more
quaint feel.
cost. Yeah.
Right. The
Cost
quaint feel
effective.
is the historic
Yeah.
light. We have discussed, and maybe there's a room for opportunity to discuss this over the next year, but do we need lights as frequently as we have them? I know that sometimes people feel like when they look at Washington Street and it's lit up, that it feels more like a runway with how close our street lights are together. So maybe there's a discussion of kind of decommissioning half of them and seeing how that impacts. And maybe we do a trial area on the town park property, right? So we have some ideas we could throw around, possibly a larger council and ARB discussion.
Thank you.
Any other, yes?
I did want to circle back to the sidewalk piece.
Yes.
And this is not so much for the town, but something I guess you have to work with the county. As more homes have gone up in Somerset, in the area there, I see, living on Jefferson, I see so many young people walking down their sidewalk, and before they get to the railroad, there's nothing on either side. So they're playing Frogger trying to get over, past the railroad track and then onto
I'm
the sidewalks
excited
here.
to give you this best answer. So we have been in discussion and we are getting help from the county. They have put in a TAP grant for us or maybe it's Safe Streets for All. They have put in a grant for us. It has gone to the next round. What that grant would do is it would help us get that full connectivity as well as the appropriate boardwalk or appropriate sidewalk infrastructure over the wetlands there and the railroad crossing, because they do recognize it's an issue. We don't have full pedestrian connectivity to the county. They don't have it into the town, and that's a very dangerous spot. It gets very narrow, very quick, and you almost want to just stop and let them fully walk. It's very nerve-wracking when you see someone walking that way. So we are on it. That's something just back in November that they let us know that it's moving to the next stage. So we're very excited about that one. Also, sidewalk conversation for county involvement. Over here on the north side, that's continuing to move forward as well, so that there will be full pedestrian connectivity from Heathcote Shared Use Path over to connect up by Robinson Paradise, where we have the sidewalk ending there. And then when council fully funds and starts construction on our project, that brings the final connectivity all the way to the intersection of Jefferson and Washington. Yes, absolutely will. But I will still flag the other 3 areas around town that are internal to town to look at.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up too. That's walkable town. And I know that path, especially up north there, Jefferson Street's been, a long time coming. It'd be great to have that connectivity for that purpose. And I appreciate too, kind of discussion here, of course, the CIP, right, is kind of that tool of not just timing, but also the funding kind of aspects. That's very exciting to hear that there's those other opportunities as well as the asset management piece of it too, to look at it.
Absolutely.
And I will say too, at least on the Washington streetscape, I know it was, a great plan, a great idea, and they put those lights out. And I wonder if bulbs they've obviously improved since it was put in. So maybe these bright bulbs make it look like a runway. So maybe you reduce to Commissioner Fager's point about you don't need as many because the light's so bright, but you still keep that same kind of character. But that's sort of the balance of keeping that character and keeping kind of functionality type thing and good costs on that front. So I just want to thank y'all for those points so far.
Going back into it, our 3rd category, town center property. So we have here earmarked that it'll be a big funding year for this project. So council is making all strides to move forward with getting the appropriate funding in place to start the construction of the town center site plan. That's all the exterior work on the site to include stormwater, the addition of the right turn lane on Jefferson Street, the sidewalk connectivity, and then a redesign of the town's parking lot and greenscape up front. We have temporarily kind of removed security camera system from here. We are working with council. We're going to allocate some funding back into this category. We're trying to figure out how it fits in with the construction and what phase. The Haymarket Community Park. So the demolition of the park house occurred and has been completed. The town park site plan, we are in the engineering phase. We are looking to award that engineering contract in the next couple months and be working on that next year. And we are planning to utilize proffer dollars for that. We do have park proffer funding. Construction of the community park plan. We have earmarked some funding in next fiscal year. We will probably be bumping this out by 1 fiscal year to accommodate all of the engineering phase to be completed, and then hopefully a phase 1 of construction could start in FY 27-28. And the security camera system, again, this is something that we are currently working on what we can do in the interim prior to construction. Town signage. So it was a big thing for us to finally get our signs above the town hall and the police department. For quite some time, we just had signs on our doors and then the monument sign out front. So that project has been completed. We originally had kept in here the gateway sign program. I think this needs to be kind of a conversation with Architectural Review Board and the town council on if it stays. One of the problems that we have is that in all of our 4 gateways into the town, so the main entry points on the roadways, we don't own any of the property there. And so it would be a more expensive project to go through and acquire land, purchase land, put signs on it. And then the types of signs that we're talking about are usually larger stone masonry work involved signs. So it requires engineering and permitting. So definitely a more expensive endeavor. We removed the post and panel gateway signs. This was a discussion item that we had with council, and it aligned with the VDOT Historic District signage. We did not qualify for the VDOT Historic District signage, and so that has been struck, and it will be fully removed from this. The post and panel gateway signs, again, that was kind of a discussion along Jefferson Street, having a more simple post panel sign, such as like Leesburg, they have that in place. But again, not owning the land and going about how to position these has been a discussion. Town administration, so we are working on a website update. That should be completed here before the end of the fiscal year in June, so that'll be taken care of. Our maintenance vehicle, we are looking at needing to replace the maintenance vehicle. We are hopeful to take care of this fiscal year. However, in the case that we cannot do so, we do have funding allocated for next fiscal year. And then police department, so police cruisers, chief has worked to get all of the cruisers on a replacement schedule. This is what you're seeing in this first line here. So we purchased 2 vehicles this year. We'll have 1 more to replace next year. We'll have an off year, and then we're back into the replacement cycle, doing 2 a year from that point forward. Police department awning has fully been taken care of, so this will be removed. Administrative office modifications, we'll be verifying with chief that there's no additional interior modifications or build out that he is projecting for next year or any following years. The dash mounted cameras, this is the system that we're currently working on putting and installing into all of the vehicles. And it aligns with what chief is currently working on when it comes to body cams as well. So this all goes hand in hand there. Tasers, to keep current with what is required, replacement is marked there. E-summons, so new system that chief is looking at moving to allow the guys to have a little bit quicker ticketing process by doing e-summons. So this is the fee year after year. And then we currently are not discussing any public parking as kind of what we determined out of the town council strategic planning session back in the fall. And so it did not land in our top 10 priorities when it came to going ahead and purchasing the land. So we'll keep moving forward with ensuring that our site is, open and available, that people understand there is the ability to publicly park here during the week. We don't restrict our lot at this time. We've not needed to. We have ample parking. Once we're under construction, that might change just a little bit, but once we're back open, running fully, we'll actually be adding a couple spaces to the lot. And so hopefully that will help. Aside from a farmer's market Sunday, our lot is open on the weekends, and as needed, we can begin advertising that people can utilize it as such. Are there any specific questions, any requests, anything that somebody maybe is looking to see added?
And again, thank you for this update. And I think it was one of my first meetings actually from this dais that we had talked about the CIP a couple years back. So I appreciate hearing the update. And how things kind of changed and explaining some of the differences. I mean, there's a lot of reasons from what was different from before, so thank you for that. The one question I had, I guess, is, and obviously the fiscal year is right in front of us, so that's kind of, we kind of, I guess, have a better idea of funding. Is that why that number at the bottom is the highest? Because it's kind of the most, I mean, the clearest number we have since it's coming up shortly. And then in the future years, the total number is the cost at the bottom there. Is just kind of, again, spacing some of the cost out. Is that the idea? I guess, how is it that next year is, I mean, it's a larger number, but is that just because there's more certainty? Is that?
So, yes, yes. We're pretty certain that next year is the year we're doing the site plan at Town Hall, and everything is aligned and ready to begin work on that project. So that's really what's driving this biggest cost. I will say, when it comes to some of the items on our side administratively, such as the park, we don't yet have good cost estimates that we can program into here. As we have them become available, we will start programming them in. This time next year, we'll have better ideas on the community park. You'll see those years more fully fleshed out. Town signage, a lot's changed in what we want to do in that category. And so I think that, we're kind of seeing we completed projects, and now that category might, fall off into more of repairs or maintenance, which would not necessarily be in the capital improvements.
Okay, thank you. And could you speak briefly on, I guess, some of the funding sources that you're able to on the next year here? I mean, is it just a mix of grants and prop funding and things like that, or?
So next year, we'll be looking at, for example, the Haymarket Community Park. The town does have proffer dollars that were earmarked for park improvements, as it was in direct relation to the impact and why those proffers were submitted in the first place. So that will be funded there for the engineering phases. As we're able, we have transportation proffers that we can put towards transportation-related improvements, such as the turn lane here on the town hall site and the sidewalk portion. We occasionally work with grants. It's been a little bit since we've had a VDOT-related grant. Our last VDOT grant project would have been with Jefferson Street Shared Use Path when that went in. But we don't currently have any grants coming up. When the Prince William County grant starts coming through when it comes to that sidewalk, if there's any matches that are required, those will start to move in and be shown here. But otherwise, you're talking general funds. And then in the rare occurrence, there's use of reserve funds. I would encourage anyone who wants to hear more about funding and budget to tune in. Even if you can't come in person, tune in to the work session at the end of March. We'll be going line by line through the budget. Roberto will talk in great depth to how we get our funding, what revenue sources we have, what taxes make up those revenue sources, and then our expenditures, where everything is going out. So myself, Chief, and Roberto will be having those conversations.
Perfect, and thank you for that. And I'll just say, I mean, briefly on this aspect here, as you kind of mentioned earlier about the comprehensive plan can speak to the values of community, which can also be reflected in the CIP. And the more I was thinking about what we've been discussing on this spot here about the streetscape walkability, walkable town, that's one piece of the infrastructure, right? The education, people can be aware of it. And then with even the police funding, I mean, that idea of kind of enforcing, traffic safety and things like that. So actually, I think what I'm seeing here, it kind of mirrors that kind of walkable intent, which I think the comp plan, though it is dated, speaks to and suggests. And so I think it's at a good spot. But my fellow commissioners have any thoughts on, and generally, feel free to speak here.
Okay.
And if none, we can proceed on.
We'll continue to flush it out. We'll make some additions, and I will probably be bringing it back in April to have you guys make a recommendation to the town council.
Perfect. Thank you. I think with that, I believe we can continue on with our agenda now we're in the standard ones of old business.
old business first, yes. So, apologies. So in terms of some projects that we're kind of starting to wrap up here, we're looking to wrap up, we're looking to wrap up the Jefferson violation that went out some time ago. We've got a little bit of work left on that. We're hoping to continue to bring that property up to code, but we're hoping to finish that one out pretty soon. The Kitty Academy has officially opened over in the Crossroads Village Center. We invite people to, I think that I don't know the correct term here, the manager for Kitty Academy was inviting commissioners and town council members to join to read to the kids or just join them on outings or anything like that. So if you would like to join in that stuff, you can reach out to them. Additionally, we received a resubmission for the Chestnut Street lots that are over on Fayette. That'll be 2 future residential homes going in there. We just received those today. That is a resubmission. So we'll be looking at those very soon. In terms of the Crossroads Village Hotel and Retail Pad, myself and Katie had a meeting with the developers for the hotel. The hotel itself has its own internal review system for the actual plans for the hotel. So that is going to take a little bit longer, they've mentioned to us. So in the meantime, they're going to move ahead with the retail. Katie and myself have asked that the preliminary plans for the retail be submitted separately, since the retail will require some of that shared parking that was previously dedicated to the hotel. So we wanted to see that laid out in the plans. Today, we just received that preliminary plan for the retail, so we'll be looking at that very soon as well. In terms of the town park, we're looking to the next stage of the RFPs with prospective offers. So we're moving ahead with that. Very, very exciting. Chick-fil-A will be starting construction on their drive-through expansion. They have been granted, they were granted their grading permit today to begin. And they've also been granted a noise variance. They will be working from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. on a select number of days. Construction is slated to begin July 11th and will continue till July 26th. The Chick-fil-A itself will remain open for walk-ins and dine-ins. The drive-through will be closed for a period of time. Any questions on that?
Real quick for that.
Yeah.
If that's construction, how are people getting back to Kitty's Academy, and are they cutting through, or is that going to be used both for construction and individuals?
So the construction is slated just for the Chick-fil-A property. So the drive, when you turn into the Crossroads Village, you can get straight back into Kitty Academy, and you can access the townhomes as well.
Okay.
The construction will not affect that area.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You could also go, I guess, behind the CVS as well.
Yes,
and
you
that kind
can
of drive
also-
there. And the
yeah.
reason I guess this noise variance was granted, it's right near the interchange there. So is that one of the reasons, I guess, that
Yeah, so after discussion with the developer and with the construction, we determined that the level of noise that would be coming from basically the removal of the concrete and then largely just additional trucks coming in and out can be contained to basically that very first day of construction. They're going to take out all that concrete. And then we've asked that the Chick-fil-A close a little bit sooner than they normally do so that construction can begin earlier. We have discussed this with the police chief, and we're comfortable that the construction itself won't interrupt any of the townhomes or other businesses.
Okay, so it's both location and the amount.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think they estimated about 85 decibels worth of construction noise. So.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so then obviously we had the rezoning discussion tonight. We'll meet again in April to discuss that. A decision is required by April 20th to be within the 90 days regarding that. In terms of the EPA stormwater grant that we have going on, letters were recently sent out to necessary residents and business owners to allow surveyors onto the property so that we can continue on with things. Residents were instructed to contact Emily or the town hall itself to allow for surveyors to come on. And then I think that's all I have for you right now in terms of old business.
Okay, thank you. And
Mhm.
barring any questions on this front or anything from the commissioners, we can move forward to new business.
Yes, the new business I have specifically for you guys is town council recently, 2 months ago, approved for Arts Van Gogh to move into the museum. And on March 14th, this Saturday, they are having their grand opening. We're going to invite you commissioners and residents to come out and see the new space. They've been working really hard over there getting it all set up. Our maintenance man, Matt, has worked really hard on the museum itself, and we're really excited to have it opening. So we invite everybody to come and check that out. Additionally, looking towards just long-term projects, we'll be, after a discussion with some members of council and commission and ARB, as well as some citizens, we'll be taking a look at the town zoning ordinance, specifically looking at signage, murals, and so on, just kind of reevaluating how that looks. And we'll also be reevaluating the ARB design guidelines and how that looks for signage and aesthetically for the town. As we kind of mentioned earlier, we're looking to kind of plan for updating the comprehensive plan. It's out of date, but we do want to kind of get the ball rolling on that sometime in the future. Any additionals?
I think the only thing I would add is if you have anything that you specifically would like us to look at in the zoning ordinance, let us know. Again, we're kind of looking at sign ordinance based on things we've heard back from business owners about our sign restrictions and how they feel it might be more cumbersome for them being in the town. We're looking at how we can add in more art and mural-based opportunities, where those would be located in our town, sizes, things of that nature, and then general cleanup. So, as we work in and out of the ordinance every day, we're finding things that just need general cleanup, whether it's definitions, how the use chart is reflected and matches up with our definitions. So we'll be working on those items. But again, if you have anything, reach out to Lydia. We're happy to meet and discuss further.
Question. Sorry. Just on one of our last meetings from council, I know Councilman DNA wanted us to kind of review or kind of go over the zoning ordinance for even the park. As we approve the hours, I don't know if that falls under us of kind of having some definition or language in our zoning.
So we're taking care of the park ordinance. We are already working with Olin on that. So we will have an ordinance established regarding the opening and closing of the park. Our officers had some concern on how it is currently managed and what they're able to do if they were to have people up there after hours who are refusing to leave. So we are taking care of that. That will come back to the town council. That is a different ordinance, not within the zoning ordinance chapter. As to what Councilman Bayane was requesting, looking at the definitions and the use chart, we will be doing that. And I think it would also be important to note that all of this work that we're doing, this will not affect or be applicable to the applications that are currently under review.
Definitely.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right, and thank you for that piece too. I mean, with the zoning ordinance, I guess my question would be, I mean, I understand with the life of the ordinance, right? It was redone in 2023, and that's still relatively new, and you want to keep fine tuning, certainly, and going with that. But is there a possibility for an amendment type process as these things come up, like text amendments or things like that?
Yes, so what we'll be doing is, as we're working on our list, we're trying not to go through an amendment process for one small thing, right? We're trying to do a more holistic approach with the signs, the murals, the art, definitions, et cetera. So what Lydia and I will be working on is bringing a bigger package to the Planning Commission, and then we will be going through the full amendment process. So public hearings, appropriate notifications to all of our residents regarding the zoning ordinance update. If there's any zoning map updates to it, that's a separate public hearing process. So we'll be following all of that, all of those state requirements. After it goes through Planning Commission and gets an approval, then it goes to the town council again through public hearing phases. So this is a lengthy project. This is not a next month or the month after. This is probably a project we will probably be approving this time next year.
Sir, and that's understood. And I guess there could be an amendment process if you wanted to do a piecemeal, right?
Yes.
Someone does this, someone does that. It's better, of course, to have them in a slew, most likely, right? And again, with the life, the zoning ordinance and all that. My only concern would be that the zoning ordinance, got its close look in 2023, was updated. And now we're already, talking a piece of it, but the comp plan still sits there. And
So-
that would be my concern, but that's
Totally
just a piece of it.
understand. Know that we're working with council to start allocating time, efforts, funding to comprehensive plan update. It is it number 3 on the strategic plan? It is in, I think, the top 5. I think it's number 3. So
Right.
they definitely recognize it. We are working on it. There are things we're actively doing that will be coming up at the March 30th work session. A request from myself to have additional funding allocated for that. So we'll make those discussions.
Okay, thank you. And I guess it's the piece of course, there's the life of the zoning ordinance and it's documented what it has to do, and the life of the comp plan. And if
Yes.
they're kind of, hopefully they're both getting the pieces they need. That's my only aspect of it there. But
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
thank you very much. Barring anything else from you, we'll move on to ARB
Oh,
updates.
really quick,
Oh,
so
sorry,
sorry.
please.
The last announcement I was going to make is that the farmers market will be opening up again this year. It is obviously an annual thing that we do, so that we invite everybody to come out, talk with residents, talk with local business owners, spend some money, and enjoy yourselves. And that's all I have.
When does that start back?
March, April 9th? 12th.
The
April-
Sunday after Easter. April.
Yes, yeah. And we're gonna have roughly over 50 vendors of all sorts. So there'll be food, there'll be crafts, there'll be a lot of different things, something for everybody. So we do invite everyone to come out for that.
Some of your same returning favorites.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
shout
right.
out Julia.
We had over 100 applicants.
I think she told me there was something like 115 applicants, which is incredible for the town. I would just like to state, because in discussions with Julia, the town is not only bringing in local vendors, but they're bringing in vendors from Fauquier County, from Warrington, Middleburg, all over the plains. So we're really excited to see the new vendors and to see our annual vendors this year.
Wonderful. That'll be exciting to hear. And I'm sorry, did you mention the Arts Van Gogh when that
Yeah,
was?
the Arts Van Gogh is this Saturday,
This Saturday,
March
thank you.
14th,
Give me 1 second. 10 a.m.
at 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And If anyone is not quite familiar with Arts Van Go, it is a youth-based arts business. And so Dawn is geared her entire business around the youth and doing classes. There's different styles of classes. There's everything from the little tots that come in and do a parent and a tot class together, all the way up to school-age children being able to come in and take specific style classes, participate in clubs. So definitely check it out. We've been sharing a lot of her information on our social media pages, so you'll be able to find her there. She'll have things during the week, weekends, summer camps, so all sorts of opportunities. I had the opportunity to check it out yesterday. It looks really great inside. We can't wait. We fixed our plumbing issue, so everything should be set for a wonderful kickoff this weekend. And she's usually also at our farmers market as well, doing free art opportunities. So great endeavor if you have kids. I know a couple of you do up there.
The spring is here. A lot of
Yes.
exciting opportunities presenting themselves. It's very good. So I think with that now, we'll turn to the ARB updates, if there are any. If anyone.
You wanna do it? We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Commissioner Preston.
So we did not have a meeting last month. We are meeting again on the 18th. We have a number of things that we will be discussing in that meeting, a number of applications for both several signs that residents have requested to be put up, as well as solar panels on a residential home and a business home. So the ARB will be evaluating those next week.
Perfect. Thank you. And I think barring any questions, I think we can now turn to town council updates. So Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. So our last council meeting, we made a proclamation for the Red Cross, proclaiming March as Red Cross Month. Council adopted the investment policy and adopted the revised strategic plan. Emily and Roberto gave a presentation on the FY27 budget, and we will be holding a budget work session starting, is that March 30th? Ooh, March 30th work session. Public hearing are set with the real estate tax public hearing on April 6th and the FY27 budget public hearing on May 4th. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you. That's appreciated. And I don't know if there are any, there's that. I think that brings us now, if there's a motion to adjourn, we can accept that.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.